Here we go.
Okay.
Welcome, my friends.
Ew.
I've never said that on the pod
never.
ever.
Let's not do it ever
That
again.
sounds pretty good.
No, it doesn't.
Welcome, buddies.
Ew.
Welcome to another episode of Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, the TV shows, the movies,
The series
on Disney Plus,
Yep.
and we're smack dab literally in the middle
Jinx?
of our Looking at Loki
Whoa.
episode by episode series.
Ep by ep.
Hey, looking at Loki on Lamentis? Another L.
Wow.
We're like alliteration queens.
Alliteration?
Hey, you dropped this.
Alliteration league.
Hey, you dropped this, queen. You dropped your crown, queen.
Does a league need to be consisted of more than two people, or is it?
let's see.
Are we technically a league?
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, multiple gentlemen.
So okay.
League of Legends.
Oh.
Extraordinary.
What would be like a partnership, but that starts with an L?
Lovers. And that's what we are. Hi.
my God.
My name's Emmanuel.
My name is Sophia, and
we
I
are
fucking
lovers.
walked right into
Yep,
that.
you gave it to me. So we
did.
are Loki lovers.
Loki lovers.
And speaking of, there's actually quite a bit of love in this episode.
Is there?
We're talking about episode
There's
3.
love in the air.
Lamentis, and I mean, this is one of the most interesting episodes. Doesn't take place on a planet we've seen or heard in the MCU before.
No.
Lamentis is the name.
Yes.
Actually, not a planet. It's a moon of Lamentis.
Yeah, it's a
Lamentis
moon.
1.
Uh-huh. And it takes place in 2077.
Yep.
I remember that.
It's one of those disasters, cataclysmic events where variants can hide a little bit.
Apocalypses?
Apocalyptic events. What?
Is that how you say it? Multiple apocalypses?
Apocalypses? Apocalypse?
Apocalypse?
But what did you think about this episode? Episode 3, we're halfway through the series
I
now.
thought it ended way too abruptly. I was so invested, and I thought that it was going to end better than what it did.
Yeah.
There. I said it.
Clear cliffhanger here.
Literally.
Clear cliffhanger.
I was like,
A bummer.
and then boom.
You know,
it just shot me in the mouth.
We're going to talk about all kinds of things here. There's some TVA stuff, what's happening on the moon, more about Sylvie and Loki, but
Timekeepers.
We're doing another episode or by episode recap of Bad Batch on Disney Plus, and that also is having its mid-season finale. And there's something that happens in the middle of these shows, in the middle episode,
they just drop you off,
where it is like a big reset or it's kind of like a reset or kind of a realigning of your goals as the series.
I was just starting to feel a vibe between them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Sylvie and Loki, yeah.
It was just getting nice and hot. Everybody was just figuring everybody out.
A lot of mystery.
They decided to team up a little bit there.
Yeah,
and
use their powers with each other. Yeah, and then also now we're kind of in a they're kind of in a hopeless situation, stuck on Lamentis. Well, let's talk about some of the things we figured out here. So Lamentis, it is a planet it's a planet system from the comic books, but not necessarily a popular one. It's only in one comic book, and this is a very purple planet from what we see. Hey, a shout out to Purple Planet. There's a website and an artist named Purple Planet. They do the theme song for our podcast.
Wow, no way.
Isn't that crazy? Purple Planet.
Full circle.
Yeah, the song they gave us.
Like a planet?
Warhammer. That's the name of the song that we use. So
very cool.
Everyone out there, you can use it too, I guess. You can rip off our show. But yeah, Purple Planet. Shout out to them. But Lamentis, another purple moon on a purple planet. What did you think about traveling? Because it kind of doesn't start off there. It starts off directly after the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can start there. And like a C-20 Hunter, C-20.
That threw me through a loop because I was like, what is this? There's no way this is a flashback. I was so freaked out. I was like, wait a minute. And then, no, it's not.
Yeah,
which is probably way more obvious. And I was just being
Sylvie
naive.
and Hunter, C-20 having drinks, having a grand old time. And then we realize it's just part of that enchantment.
Yes,
that
which
she's
makes
doing.
sense because it kind of explains her power a little bit there.
Yeah, more on Hunter C-20 later, and something we find out about everyone working at
that TVA was probably the most vital.
But, she jumps through and we find out that her goal is to get to the timekeepers, similar to Loki's goal in a way.
He just wants to meet them. He wants to overtake them. We don't know what she wants to do yet, specifically.
It seems like to kill them or something weird,
to really
right?
fuck shit up somehow. But
she's very strongly against the idea that they don't have control over their actions, and she compares everyone at the TVA to like slaves and just basically doing whatever the timekeeper. And that's like the biggest thing for me. The biggest question mark. What if there's an empty room? What if they get to the timekeepers at the end and it's an empty room or something? You know, like that would be
it would
quite
really
a while.
Mess stuff up.
Things are fucked up. But and then Sylvie and Loki fight. What do you think about the fight? They fight like 4 times in this episode.
Okay, first of all, Sylvie is a badass. Yeah. Like, I love when she fights. I mean, she really just ground and pounds
she's
whoever
literally bouncing off the walls.
And I love it. And it's just, I'm like in awe because she has like she's like she's like literally the female version of Loki. Like, she has enchantment powers. She fights like a badass. She even has a sword.
She's
Loki has a couple of blades. Yeah, she's definitely a trickster.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's like almost a complete package. Like, it's kind of hard not to fall in love with her. She's a smartass.
Yeah.
And she has an accent. Well, for us.
Well, she's a little more she's a little more focused than Loki. Loki is a well-known hedonist, kind of just doing things, likes to party, and we see that happen here. You know, classic Asgard drinking. We'll have another party guy.
She does not like to be referred to as a Loki,
and
though.
She's very serious. She's more serious than he is, for sure. She does
not like that at all. And she also doesn't like it whenever he undermines her powers or her intelligence, honestly. Because he kind of jabs at her for a little bit, and she takes it, and then she throws it right back. Like, their banter is really, really cute.
Well, Lamentis serves kind of as the setting for these two being stranded together. And it's a great narrative way to kind of explore Sylvie, at least. And, that's kind of what we spend a lot of time with Loki kind of interrogating Sylvie, like, who are you?
Yeah.
She is, it's interesting because there isn't really a perfect analog to her from the comic books, because a lot of people are like, is she Lady Loki? Is she Enchantress, or is she Sylvie? And she kind of is a combination of those characters
a bunch of,
more than she is exactly one of them, and we still aren't even sure. What do you think about Sylvie? Because it seems like she is a Loki, because they talk about their parents.
They talk about their parents a lot, and I mean, I don't know if Loki knows if she's actually a Loki or not. Does that make sense? Like, just because he kind of has that whole sense of like, well, wait, tell me about your family, or like, what's going on? And then when she starts talking about them, he's like, that's like super different. Like, I mean, so I really don't know where she stands either on that like character of whether she's gonna fall into.
We find out she self-teaches herself magic.
Self-teaches herself, yes.
Self-teaches herself. There's that classic wordplay. We're really good at wording, huh?
She's self-taught.
She's self-taught magic, which is interesting. But we really don't find out much more.
She screams.
What?
She screams.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody screams, but she screams and releases a bunch of power. And so, sorry.
That's our dog screaming.
Oh my gosh.
But it is kind of interesting to figure out a little bit more about her, and kind of, she really reminds me, and there's a really long conversation they have about love. Some big revelations here. Sylvie, I don't know if she's joking, but says that she, I guess has
the postman.
Yeah, has a postman. Maybe the postman from WandaVision. Maybe. Maybe. I knew he was important.
Wait a minute.
No, it's
Mr.
not.
Postman.
Uh-oh.
Just kidding.
But I like.
It's a song.
I feel like that might be somewhat serious. Loki talks about, we find out Loki's bisexual. And
love. I mean, you can see that from a mile away, but yeah.
But it reminds me a lot of, there's a storyline in Doctor Who between the Doctor and his wife.
Doctor Who. Oh, yeah.
The time traveling show. And they kind of are star-crossed lovers. Almost they're Benjamin Button style, meeting in the middle sometimes, and then sometimes they'll go off, and she's a child now in one universe or something like that. It's very interesting. Kind of weird, actually, now that I bring that up. But it is like, it reminds me of that. Two really powerful people able to kind of bounce around time. But it's interesting. Do you think Sylvie and Loki are romantic, or do you think it's kind of more of a brother-sister thing, or do you think it's like none of those and it's still kind of antagonistic? Because it's not like they're best friends forever.
I think the fact that Loki got super drunk in this episode, we haven't talked about that yet, but here we are talking about it now.
He gets wasted.
He gets super wasted on this train that they're trying to
on the rich people train.
Yes, that they're trying to take the energy from in order to recharge their little remote. I forgot what it's actually called.
It has a name now. It's a tempad.
Yeah, everyone's gonna come at me for that. But I do think that if Loki does not change his ways, then she will not be into him, because that was like a huge turning point within their ever so slightly built friendship.
Yeah.
It kind of went down 3 notches because of the way that he acted and because of the way that he just responded to all of those deep questions, and then in the end she was just like, you fucking suck. Like,
yeah, their differences are a little bit
too
bigger.
Different.
Yeah. But I mean, who knows? We also saw like a variant of Loki where he looks like a monster, so there are definitely differences between Lokis.
But I mean, is it weird that Loki falls in love with another version of himself? Absolutely not. I think that would be totally on brand for Loki, just
and
because
for anyone. Come on, you walk past a mirror and you're like, I wish I wasn't me. I wish I was anyone else so I can be with me.
But I do think that Loki is more involved in her than she is in him, because he is very interested in her backstory. He's the one asking all the questions. He's the one that's like, oh, you self-taught yourself magic? Wow.
And we don't know it all yet. And
we have
we're kind of Loki in that way. I asked because there's also kind of like a weird vignette when they first get onto Lamentis, where there's an old lady and he kind of tries to trick his way in, to get information from her. And it's kind of a funny way to show what's happening on Lamentis and the arc and stuff. But I was like, there's a lot of like references to love in this episode. And a lot of the songs, if you listen to the songs that they play, there's songs about love. And there's even some about demons and dead moons. Like, it's very, if we've seen any of the other shows, especially WandaVision, all these songs are picked for a reason and they are definitely alluding to something.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe this is a budding romance, or it's just another rivalry.
Yeah.
But I mean, by the end of this, they kind of do end up having to work together.
In some way.
I want to talk about the TVA a little bit. We've talked about the pads. They've given them a name, a temp
and
pad.
now we get to talk about the big reveal.
And now we can talk about the big reveal, because Hunter C20, the reason why we see her early on when she gives away the location of the golden elevator for the timekeeper, Sylvie breaks it to Loki that all of the people working at the TVA had lives long before the TVA.
Hundreds of years ago.
So they are prisoners.
They're humans
in a way. Or, I don't know.
So
they're all variants.
We don't know. We don't know if. Well, we for sure supposedly, if we listen to Sylvie, we know that they're variants, because that's how she describes them. Like, no, they were variants too, and
they had to work.
And this could be their punishment for whatever they were doing. But I will say, because Owen Wilson's performance of him explaining, like, no, like Mobius, this is because he is so. Like not dedicated but committed to this idea of like, no, this is the timekeepers and and blah blah,
this is our mission, we don't need anything else.
He seems so invested in this reality that he has that we thought was his character Mobius, but instead he could totally be brainwashed and we have no idea up until now, and we're like, oh my god, that would make so much sense to me, because I'm like, what is a human, what are all these regular people just doing up in this place? Like, there's no way, like, how it looks massive, but like, what, why haven't anybody noticed this before?
Mobius describes to Loki the decision of, you get vaporized or you can work with us. And I mean, if you were working for a million years, you definitely can forget your past or your real life. And I think with Hunter C20, that's what Sylvie says, that she just has to go super far back to find that. I'm really interested, too, now knowing that they had lives before.
I wonder how Owen's going to react. Mobius is going to react.
I just want to know if maybe there's a sneak maybe something is coming through from his old life. And remember his obsession with jet skis. Maybe he was a jet ski god or something.
True.
Or
like a salesman. Or maybe he was like super rich before.
Yeah, a jet skier.
Jet skis or whatever.
I think that's what's going to be, because this all seems to be leading up to a point where the timekeepers lose control. And they are.
And they're going to be revealed.
They're already kind of there. Like with all the variants and all of the nexuses that happened in the previous episode. it's already kind of chaotic at the TVA.
Oh, 100%.
I can imagine that them realizing that they had past lives. Eugene Cordero's character, who doesn't know what a fish is, like he had a life beforehand. It's very, very complicated, but I mean that's a big eye opener for Loki, definitely, especially since he's
a big secret to keep too.
Yeah, because he agreed to work with them, and now he's not sure if what's going on.
Because there is so much going on that's also not explained.
Yeah, it's technically like our second series, maybe even the third, because Falcon and Winter Soldier had a little bit of mind control in it too, but WandaVision had this was everyone in WandaVision in that town. They were all under control with Wanda. That no one can decide what they're doing in this universe, huh? In Marvel,
we're all just
controlled.
under
we're all pawns. This podcast is a pawn.
Got y'all.
More like a pawn cast. All right, we're just pawns.
Okay.
What did you think about the social political stuff happening on Lamentis? It feels a lot like Snowpiercer, Noah's Ark, like a very interesting
it reminded me of
class warfare thing.
Do you remember that movie 2012?
Yeah.
When everybody who
gets on the ark,
literally had money got on the ark.
Yeah, the rich people, Zoe Saldana, the president's daughter.
All of the rich people got to go on first. And that's exactly what's going on here. I think it was super sad. I think that it was, I don't even know if it was necessary, to be honest, because like what ended up happening anyways, like isn't it an apocalyptic? Yeah. So it doesn't even matter.
and it's kind of, there's a clock ticking. We see the desperation, people waiting in lines, trying to get off the planet.
Yeah.
And it does, it just doesn't go the way it's supposed to. But you are kind of left to think that it's hopeless for Loki and Sylvie by the end of this. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little taste of realness of, if there is something bad happening, that people with money, guess what? They're going to get on that arc.
Yeah.
It's interesting they called it an arc too, right? Like
they did. They called it an arc. They called it I think they said train once, maybe.
Well, they take the train to the arc. Which is
yes.
I mean, I'm interested to know like how much lead time they had, or if this moon exploded, or do you think that Lamentis will be ever referenced ever again? Like in the garden? I don't know. It's like it's decades away.
It's 27/7, right? When it actually happens, when it actually collapses, or like the moon.
Year of our Lord.
I'm trying to think about other timelines that could have possibly.
It's so far in the future.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen anything this. Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be referenced anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we got cut to
next step.
The next step, where it's like it's Thor who blew up the moon or something like that, like just collateral damage. But
I will say I was upset that I didn't necessarily see Owen Wilson in this.
Yeah,
I did want to see how he was going to react, because I'm sure that he is peeved that Loki walked through that door with her. I'm sure, and also Owen doesn't even know that Sylvie is around. He doesn't even know that Sylvie is Sylvie. He just thinks that it's
Loki.
He thinks that it's two Lokis, and he thinks that Loki legitimately just like fucked him and just said bye. Like, I'm just gonna hang out with my other self.
Yeah,
which I mean, he technically is kind of, sort of, maybe.
This really did feel like kind of a stranded on an island episode between Sylvie and Loki, because apart from the beginning, there is no other TVA people, or there's no other sense of what's happening outside.
I do love when Sylvie's like, "Get back, or I'm gonna kill him," and they were like, "Go for it, fucking do it."
That would help us.
Yeah,
and they get so close. They're at the elevator.
They are.
So they're so close to seeing the timekeeper.
And you think that it's gonna happen, and then Loki's the one that is. He stopped her from going up, and it's like, boy, why?
Yeah.
Go with her. What are you doing?
And it is kind of, he does say it's like win-win. If he protects the timekeeper, maybe they'll talk to him. If he goes with her, then
he can meet them that way too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's probably the finale. Like, doesn't it feel like that? Like you are going to find out.
If I have to wait until the finale to meet the timekeepers, I'm going to be so upset. Like, even after this episode, I was like, why? Give me more. Like, I only have three episodes left.
There's 3 episodes left. Oh, we're halfway through. And we still aren't even sure where Loki's going to be, is going to pop up next.
So they still need to figure out how to fix their current situation, like what is the remote called? I'm so sorry, I'm calling it a remote again.
The temp pad.
Yeah, so they gave up on that because originally it was broken, and the plan was to try to fix it, or to try to go back. And so now they have to try to get back, but without using any resources on the planet. So hopefully somebody pulls something out of their butt and then they can leave. But also we have to see what happens with Owen Wilson, and we have to see what happens, or Mobius, and we have to see what happens with all the rest of the TVA, because it's like, well, now what? Like, does this mess up another timeline? Like, are they technically variants again because they're causing... Well, I guess not, right? Because it's an apocalypse, so it's like everything's going to be destroyed anyway. So, like, no evidence of them is going to be there regardless.
And it sounds like that's why they don't ever worry about it. But, yeah, it's interesting, too, to hear Sylvie talk about how long she's been fighting
years.
The TVA, because it's been forever, and she doesn't even know... really when she started. It's been so long that she's been working on this plan, and so it's kind of wild. And I think that the TVA is going to have their hands full resetting all these nexuses, but no one knows that they're there for sure. Like, no one knows that they're on Lamentis because they're hidden. Who knows? Actually, doesn't Mobius know the formula now? Because they went to Pompeii, so Mobius knows that they hide in...
Yeah, he knows.
Oh, I guess there's just a million of them.
But so there's just so many, you have to choose. He would have
no idea which one. But yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we know they're going to get off the planet at some point. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Who knows? They may spend a whole other episode on the planet. That's kind of interesting.
I really wasn't expecting for them to be on this planet this entire episode, if I'm honest. Like, I really wanted more from this app. I wanted more explanation. I wanted more character development other than just like, oh, you have a heart, me too. And then go on with your lives. Like, I wanted more.
Well, I feel like because they slowed down and took time to kind of flesh out Sylvie, that she's such maybe potentially a huge character.
Oh, for sure.
For the MCU in general.
After this, she's going to be popping around. Unless it's like another Agatha thing where Agatha just kind of stays in that one little universe of... oh my gosh. I'm drawing
Westview.
a total... No, yeah, Westview, but Wanda. I totally forgot Wanda's name for a second. But... like it could be that type of sitch. Like maybe Loki makes a trade and like gives up Sylvie and she stays at the TVA forever, or like I don't know.
There's going to be a rough decision definitely for him at the end of this.
There better be.
And it may be presented to him by the Timekeeper. We may see Kang the Conqueror for the first time.
That's true.
At the end of this.
That's the ending that I want. I want all this to tie together somehow like that.
Yeah. And we know that this is all going to affect the multiverse of madness and the Spider-Man stuff. Like, yeah.
I sound like such a brat. That's what I want.
Well, I think that they're also, they know what they're doing.
They have to know, right? Like, because they gave us so much with Wanda, and like, not and like they gave us, but they gave us so much to figure out.
A weird critique of our pod, but we also just know so much about the upcoming stuff that it may be tainting us a little bit for what we're
I'm getting so
now.
Impatient.
Yeah, because we're like, oh, well, we know we're going to have we know all the Spider-Man are in a movie, so something happens, But who knows? Like, if we're under a rock or something, like, you would just be like, this time stuff's kind of wild.
Yeah, or you would either think that or that it's like really boring. It's like, why are they doing that?
I know. Get to the part where we see, the Infinity Stones again. I'm enjoying the show so far, and it does give me like reminiscence of obviously Doctor Who that I talked about before, but this is a lot of Rick and Morty type stuff.
Oh yeah, futuristic.
Yeah, there's like a million Ricks and Mortys, and we may see a million Lokis out there, and it kind of the way that they kind of take these existential threats. At a point of this, they're like, hey, if we get off, or if we like get off the Ark, because they need to get the power from the Ark. If we take the power from the Ark, that kind of just
kills everybody.
Kills everyone on this planet. No one gets off.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, that seems like a Rick and Morty.
Even the love conversation that they had, like that type of in-depth conversation is something that you would find in Rick and Morty, like out of nowhere. And then it'd be like, all right, well, fuck it. And then just go on to doing whatever.
In like this interesting kind of meta, fleeting conversation, he compares love to like a dagger. And he's like, oh, that's
imaginary dagger.
And that's a bad metaphor. And you're like, man, that is a super meta, like Rick and Morty thing to say. But I enjoy it. I think it's unique to Loki because that's who he is. He's kind of just he's trying it out. He gets wasted on like our Snowpiercer train. But it does kind of show just the difference between him and Sylvie, who just seems like such a focused And
she makes a reference about being focused on the mission. She's like, I don't do that if it's not on the mission or something like that. She says something about like drifting off or not following the path of the mission.
She's working on her own, or do you think there's a group of more Lokis, or do you think there's like another ulterior thing? Maybe
I think that because this plan has been in action for multiple years, I think that it is tied to something else. I don't think that she has this much hatred unless something really, really traumatic happened to her in her past. I don't think necessarily that it would be just her on her own accord. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that she made this plan with somebody else, and then for whatever reason, they're not around anymore. And so now she has this drive within her to be like, no, I need to focus. Like, this is for whoever the fuck. Like, this is my way of like honoring or finishing what we started or whatever. I don't know who that is. I don't know what is going on. I'm also just talking like nonsense because I really don't know.
So here's like a really interesting thing that happens a lot, and Andrew brought this up, is if you think you know who the bad guy is,
it's not
in these shows, the streaming shows, it's not. Yeah. And so it would make sense for Sylvie to be in the right, like for us to assume she's a Loki variant, she's the bad guy. They tell Loki that she's the bad guy, and then we realize maybe like Ravana, who we see in this episode, she almost shoots she's the judge, she speaks for the timekeeper.
That's what I said at the beginning. I was like, what if she's a timekeeper? What if she's working behind the back of them or whatever?
She's known for working with Kang the Conqueror, who might already be kind of fiddling in the timekeeper slot. If we get in the elevator and we find out it's him, it's Kang the Conqueror, and Ravana's been hiding.
Or if they open the doors to the elevator and there's nothing behind it. Ooh, and that's why they're guarding it all the time.
Or it is Loki. 3 Lokis or something.
Right, can you imagine?
There's a whole lot of things.
Another Loki's just sitting there.
But and so after this episode, I think there's more to, there's obviously more to look forward to and more to see, but don't get too lazy, everyone. Like, this can still get wild and crazy. They still have to get off this moon, but
yeah.
I don't think we've seen who the real bad guy is yet.
I don't think so
time.
either. I think that I'm going to say what I said at the beginning. I really think that the timekeepers are going to be somebody totally out there, and it's going to be somebody that we're just like, oh, of course it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that Loki and Sylvie are probably going to end up working together some more. I don't know if they're going to fall in love, but I do think that they're going to maybe she's going to join the Avengers. And Loki's going to bring her to the parties and stuff and be like, nah, guys, she's with me.
Well, there's quite a bit of time. I don't even know if they've even told us when the next team up movie is, but I also feel like all of the movies from now on are team up movies.
All the next phases.
I don't know if they're Avengers, but they're
just going to keep adding on to the team, bro.
Yeah, well, let us know what you think. Hit us up. Hit us on the hip. Beep us.
Hit us up.
Yeah, beep me. Somebody beep me. Send me a beeper.
Add us.
Yeah. Well, speaking of add us, it's time for plugs. Sophia, what do you got to plug?
Just the same old, you guys. Please, if you haven't already, just check us out on Patreon. You know what I'm saying? You can give to us as much as we give to you. Everything's going to be at DelfinPod, DelfinPod. And then you can check out the other shows that we got up there. All the guys hanging out, Dirt Sheet Radio, and then of course there is it Countdown to Skywalker still?
Yeah. Right.
You guys are pulling them out left and right. And then if you want to follow me on any social media, you sure can. Everything's going to be at _Simply Sophie, SOFIEE.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff on that Patreon. Brent and I just recorded some top 5 post-apocalyptic movies, top 5 horse movies, top 5 Christian movies. There's a lot of exclusive stuff. He has a podcast called Director Showdown that's on our network too that you should listen to. If you like Star Wars, we have Star Wars podcasts, and of course the wrestling show is doing really well. But thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week for more looking at
Loki.
And hey, we're actually so close to Black Widow too, so
oh my gosh, that I cannot wait for. I really want to see that.
Great reviews, people love it. Yeah,
I want to go.
Okay, well, hey,
let's go.
You know what? Let's go right now.
All right, bye.